Arjun had a deep obsession with photographing abandoned and desolate places. One day, he learned about an old mansion located in a remote village, one surrounded by spine-chilling stories told by the locals. The villagers claimed that a wandering spirit haunted the mansion, and anyone who dared to enter either never returned or lost their sanity forever. Arjun dismissed these warnings as mere superstition and considered the mansion an ideal subject for his art. Armed with his old camera and fearless determination, he began his journey toward the terrifying mansion. As he drew closer to the village, an eerie and unsettling silence enveloped him, completely different from the noise of the city. Just after sunset, Arjun arrived at the massive stone mansion, now nothing more than a frightening, decaying ruin. Its shattered windows and crumbling walls seemed to scream the story of years of abandonment. A strange stench of damp earth and rotting wood hung in the air, piercing straight into his senses. As soon as he pushed open the heavy door, an unbearable, bone-chilling cold surrounded him. Despite the warmth outside, inside, thick layers of dust covered everything, and cobwebs draped every corner like a horrifying shroud. Arjun took out his camera and began taking photographs, but with every click of the shutter, he felt as though an invisible eye was watching him constantly. As night deepened, the silence inside the mansion became even more terrifying. Arjun placed his equipment in one room and tried to rest, but sleep was far from him. Suddenly, he heard slow, heavy footsteps coming from the upper floor. At first, he thought it might be an animal, but there was something unmistakably human about the sound. Then, a piercing scream echoed through the mansion, tearing through the silence, only to fade away just as quickly. Arjun's heart began pounding violently. Ignoring his fear and convincing himself it was just his imagination, he switched on his flashlight and slowly climbed toward the upper floor. As soon as he reached the top, a faint light was seeping out from beneath the door of one room. With trembling hands, Arjun opened the door and looked inside. In the center of the room lay an old broken doll, its hollow eyes staring directly at him. Beside the doll was an old torn diary, its pages yellowed with age. On the very first page, written in a child's shaky handwriting, were the words, "I am alone." The moment Arjun picked up the diary, he felt as though an icy hand had touched his own. Yet no one was there. Suddenly, the room's temperature dropped so drastically that his breath began to freeze in the air. Arjun turned a few more pages of the diary and discovered the heartbreaking story of a little girl who had died alone in that very house. As he finished reading the final page, he felt a cold, lifeless breath right behind him. Trembling, he turned around, and standing before him was a hazy, transparent figure. A small girl with coal-black, endlessly deep eyes. She stood silent and motionless, yet her presence was so heavy that Arjun's body went numb with fear. Slowly, the girl raised her tiny hand and gestured toward him, as if calling him into the depths with her. A violent shiver ran through Arjun's entire body, and his hair stood on end. Trembling in terror, Arjun screamed and stumbled backward. He abandoned his precious camera and bag and ran toward the stairs. As he descended, it felt as though someone was running right behind him. He heard the sound of children laughing, laughter that twisted within moments into something dark and evil. Using every ounce of strength he had, Arjun sprinted toward the main door and somehow managed to escape the mansion. Once free from its horrifying shadow, he ran without looking back until he reached the outskirts of the village.